got me into UFO. Another band that I got into and then went backwards and said, whoa, who are these guys? And every song, Michael Schenker is one of my heroes. We've been fortunate enough on festivals to actually play with UFO before, and there's actually an interesting story with Pete Way and the other Exodus guys. I wasn't in the band at this time, but I heard about the story. And in fact, if I ever have those guys on, we'll talk about that story. But kind of a cool story with UFO and kind of negative, but any story's cool. But those guys were big influence on me. Pete Way, Andy Parker.
And they played Down the Green
Michael
also.
Schenker. Oh, yeah. Yeah, with Thin Lizzy, another band that I
Yep.
could sit there and talk about that define, but I
is
did
that
listen.
one?
I listened. I listened to them, but not then. But I'd have to give my my next one to my man, Mr. Ronnie James Dio and Rainbow. Long live rock and roll. Long live rock and roll to me is has the best hard rock heavy metal song ever written by anyone, and that is Kill the King. I love that song. If anybody ever asks me, Zetro, what's your favorite heavy metal song, hard rock song? Kill the King by Rainbow, Long Live Rock and Roll. And Gates of Babylon are on that album too. Alongside Lady in the Lake. To me, that is a monumental
classic album.
A lot of people say Rainbow Rising, and I agree with that too. I love Stargazer, but I have to say, I love this record. For me, this was a definer. I'm talking about what I liked about it. This is where I really started listening to Ronnie James Dio and knew who he was. And I would tell people, oh, yeah, there's Rainbow. What is Rainbow? I'm like, Zetro listens.
I think he said Richie Blackmore. They might know that ahead of
and that was another like Schenker. Blackmore's my hero. And I just saw that they played some festivals
you told me
a couple of weeks. I watched some stuff. See, on YouTube, on my TV. So when you're watching my show, watch it on the TV because it looks better. And so I was flipping through YouTube on the TV and I saw, whoa, Blackmore. And I guess he's doing Blackmore and Deep Purple, and he's playing some festivals in Europe. So lucky you guys are over in Europe that you get to see this. He doesn't come to the States and do this. So sorry you older American metal fans that love Blackmore like I do. But again, that record to me, great lineup on there. I think that's Jimmy Bain, Cozy Powell. I can't remember who's on keyboards on that one. And it's Ronnie and Richie. Anyway, leave me comments.
I think that's where he got his Dio band members from too.
Well,
right?
I think Jimmy Bain. Anyway,
yeah.
Anyway, and then so now it's probably turning 78, 79, 80, and so around 79, I get Unleashed in the East, Judas Priest, and that's one that kind of went wow. Okay.
You went for those live albums.
But first. That's what I heard first. And you know what I did? Because to me, if the band could pull it off live, then God, the records are going to be great. And they were. And so Judas Priest, Unleashed in the East was an amazing, to me, the way it was sequenced from top to bottom, opening with a cider, and then into Running Wild. Just the whole sequencing of the album I really liked. First time I ever heard Green Monolith, and I was like, wow. I love the part that I believe that thrash metal is very prominent in is, chin, 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 that grindy British heavy metal chug, You'll see Biff from Saxon every once in a while live. It's another band I love Saxon to death. See, there's only 10. I tried to keep it to 10 records, Walt.
Well, we should have done 30.
I could have done 30. I'm trying to give you 10 where I 10 just to define it, but I can go there. And I mean that British metal guitar, just like such a part of thrash metal.
And another very high Rob Halford with his high voice.
Well, definitely, especially on the end of Green Monolith, he's, hitting those very, 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 very high ones, and so I kind of have to, again, I started going new wave of British heavy metal, and then if you're going to go there, it's although Motorhead was an early influence, it didn't necessarily define me, although Lemmy's a huge influence on me, very much so. But
His persona. Huh?
I loved it. It was loud. I seen them the first time they were in America. They opened for Ozzy when Ozzy was doing Blizzard of Oz, and Diary of a Madman wasn't even out yet. They were touring for Ace of Spades, and I seen them in Santa Cruz because Ozzy had just played Day on the Green, one of those festivals we were talking about in the Bay Area. But when that festival is just a one-off show. I mean, you have to.
Blizzard of Oz.
He was on tour with himself, and Motorhead was his opener. And so I went to Santa Cruz the day after the Day on the Green to see Ozzy headline, and he played more songs. And then then Motorhead opened. Still the loudest band I've ever heard in the world. Not really, like I said, I didn't run out and grab the record there. I listened to it, but and I loved it. It was great. But I think the next one that really grabbed me, and I heard this coming out of Jimmy Christensen's Monte Carlo, was Iron Maiden Killers. And the first time I heard Iron Maiden Killers, and I have Eddie tattooed on my arm right there. I'll try to get a close-up shot of that sometime.
Paul Di'Anno.
And Paul Di'Anno was the vocalist. I heard them at Killers, which was their second record, and every single, especially the song itself, Killers.
Love that.
Absolutely amazing to me. The whole premise of the song, of the song and everything, just the kind of this guitar lick in there.
Even the bass, Steve Harris, you can hear him.
Oh yeah, all of that. Every song on the Wrathchild, the way it opens up with the Ides of March, that's just. For me, that was like, oh my God, okay, now it's UFO.
That was a game changer.
And I mean, there was Def Leppard in there too. There was other stuff. I'm getting this whole Tigers of Pantang. I'm listening to Thin Lizzy. I'm all listening to all new wave of British heavy metal music. But these are the ones that kind of defined.
And were you singing at home, like listening to them? And
I was always singing at home.
Did you know that you were going to be a singer?
I don't know that. I kind of when you see people from my childhood today, they say that, oh, I always knew that you were going to do this. I guess I didn't look at myself like that, but I guess I was into the music heavier than a lot of other people. Because again, I'm 8 years old listening to Led Zeppelin. So by the time I'm 10 or 11, I'm still listening to it. 10 or 11-year-old kids are not listening to fucking Led Zeppelin. So most people that knew me were like, you were outside the box. My brother told me like 2 years ago, we were talking about something. He goes, oh, when we got those Heavy Metal Hall of Fame awards, things that we were class of 2018, and anyway, the hall, they have their own thing. It's every year at the NAMM show. They do. It's not an actual place, but there's a record kept of it, and they do a formal award show. And my brother said, "You deserve that award." I remember when you brought home Dead Kennedys, which I will talk about because they formed it. He says, I didn't know what the fuck you were listening to, but look what it made you. Look how he goes, dude, you were way ahead of your time.
Well, that's what I was saying. These are the albums that, helped influence you and define you later, and to make up almost a whole genre, Anthrax and Exodus and Legacy. I mean, you're one of the creators of this whole genre, so what you listened to kind of made you.
Well,
right? Not just a fan.
Because like the next few records that I'm going to mention are basically, to me, are punk albums. And I probably went over 10. I don't even care how many at this point. I'm just going to talk about the records, I guess.
Your punk side?
My punk side. Plasmatics, Beyond the Valley of 84. I know people hated them. I loved the Plasmatics.
Tempesta loves them.
I love the whole idea, Wendy O with the fucking electric tape on her nipples. I love the whole fact that Richard Stott was in a fucking ballerina suit for a while. Then he wore a nurse's uniform. This guy's like 7 foot with a blue mohawk. And then Wes Beach was the backup guitar player. You know what I mean? And they always wore tuxes. And then Jean Bouvier was the bass player. Black dude with a white mohawk and a white tux. I just thought it was cool. First time I went and saw them, they had their road crew dressed up like Klansmen. I mean, it was just wild. Wendy blew up a fucking a car and used to hit TVs with
the drummer
chainsaw. The drummer was revolved all the time. There was a different guy all the time. Rod Swenson was the main guy behind the Plasmatics, and he actually was married to Wendy
Oh,
O.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, before I believe they weren't married back then, but before she passed.
So
when
then
they were
again, this
together.
is like early 80s? Or?
This is early 80s, probably. I think Beyond the Valley of 84 is 80 or 81, because they did have a album before that was called New Hope for the Wretched, and I love that. I listen again, another one. I listened to Beyond the Valley first, and then I listened to New Hope for the Wretched second, and then I got everything the Plasmatics did. I was like, Master Plan, Plasmatics, everything was fucking for like. I love them. I love the Plasmatics, and then obviously. It came out in the late 70s, but there was a time where I was hanging out with Rampage. You've heard me talk about that. Chuck and his brother Andy and Willie.
Mm-hmm.
And Greg's old band. And
Bustamante.
I used to have this Pontiac Bonneville, and there was a tape stuck in it, and that auto reverse, so it would just keep changing sides, and I couldn't get the tape out. And if you couldn't get the tape out, you couldn't listen to the radio. So for 6 months, me and Andy Billy listened to Nevermind the Bullocks by the Sex Pistols, and that's the only reason I'm probably giving this, because that's all I had, and I knew every word and every break. I mean, I knew the lengths of the stops in between the songs. I knew the album so well, but I truly loved the record. I felt it was very raw. There's some lyrics was funny to me. The song Bodies in the second break is all fuck this and fuck that. Fucking all you fuckers. Fucking brats. I never heard anybody say fuck pretty much in a song ever. And this guy just said it 6 times in one line. So I was in. I was fucking in. Other than Ted Nugent swearing in between, the live record. But that was one that I'd have to give to, as the define. I think that's probably 10, but I have to top on Fresh Fruit for Rotting Vegetables, Walt. Dead Kennedys. I mean, they're fucking, that album, I love Exploited, obviously. I love Discharge. I love GBH, but I liked Crass Punk too.
I think all that music is a big influence on what thrash bands did later, right?
Well, I've always explained to people, they said, because as we were cooking the thrash metal together, as we were baking it up from the pot, what was it? Well, it was basically the rawness and the speed that punk music had and hardcore, like at that time, like Exploited or Discharge or GBH, and it took the intricacies and the riffing from blues and hard rock. So basically,
underground sound at the time.
Exodus is Iron Maiden meets Discharge, or Iron Maiden meets or Judas Priest meets the Exploited, or Judas Priest meets or Saxon meets basically, because that's what we're listening to. We're listening to the early Def Leppard. We're listening to that type of stuff. Except Restless and Wild and Breaker. We're listening to First Merciful Fate records and stuff like that. Everybody's listening. Tigers of Pantang, John Sykes. We're listening to that early heavy stuff, and where it's deriving from as well, and especially the new wave of British heavy metal. Everybody paid attention to all that stuff because it played a big part in the sound of thrash metal, and so did punk, though. I mean, that's why I have to give those records so much respect. I mean, you were there at that time, all that those records, the ones I just named, are all very influential records. And not to kick out of bed Scorpions Animal Magnetisms or Scorpions Love Drive. You know what I mean? Those were Tokyo Tapes, another live record. That's how I got turned on to Scorpions. Somebody turned me on to Tokyo Tapes, and I'm like, holy shit, what is this? When Speedy's Coming, Hellcat, all that kind of stuff. Early Scorpions.
With Uli.
Dark Lady. It's just, that's the stuff that defined, most of us who came up through that, for you younger people that wondered, how we brought, this is what we were listening to. This is what the guys in Metallica and Megadeth and Testament, and this is what we were all listening to. We knew because we all hung out with each other. All the guys, because we hung out with the guys in Laws as well.
And a big influence for them is like Judas Priest.
And that's what everybody listened to. That's what they Merciful Fate, early Merciful. When the demo came out, everybody had it, around 82, 83 when it came out. It was like, oh my God, have you heard this? This is just amazing. And so a lot of that stuff was all big time on what became, us. This is what made me. These are the ones what made me. So anyway, leave me comments. Let me know if these were the records that influenced you, and let me know which influenced you, because we'll do a viewer comment episode. We're going to talk about it, and obviously subscribe to my channel. But like I said a million times, watch my channel on YouTube on your television. It looks so cool with the guy a little dropping down and then a little thing down the hallway and my cool music. And then the doors close, then they open up. I love it. I watch the intro every time, maybe because it's my show, but I like the intro. So let me know. I know. You like it, don't you?
Yeah, I love it.
Anyway. And so remember, if you want to send someone a message from me, go to cameo.com. And remember, if you want your coffee nice and fucking dirty, right?
Right.
What do we drink, Walt?
Death Wish.
We drink Death with coffee. Death with? Yeah, they just said that. I think we drink Death with coffee. How did that sound, Wayne?
I think you drink too much.
Drink Death with coffee. It's right here. I know. I'm sweating on that right now. And we do have patches. And with patches, we'll get you a sticker. And, of course, the T-shirt. So go to greyhavenmedia.net and get yours now. And if you have not named the spider or sent your entry in, we're going to be ready to start naming that damn thing, because he's fucking needs a name tag or some shit like that. So
you're rolling today.
I'm rolling today. That's what it gets for, rolling. That's what that Death Wish coffee does to you. So anyway, we'll see you guys in the vault real soon with Walt.